Well, it looks like the PlayStation 5 development kit or the PlayStation 5 pictures that we saw appear online through that patent are actually real. I know it's very funny to think about how this got out there, but it seems more and more likely based on everything that's been going on. What you're seeing in front of you, which is an artist's rendering of the PlayStation 5 patent, the schematics that were put out there that people got a hold of, took a look at. We believe it's a dev kit mostly because we had a developer actually confirm that it was a dev kit. Strangely, I don't know why that happened. I don't know why they felt the need to say it. Maybe they were just thinking it and they were like, oh, I know what that is. That's a dev kit. We have a couple of those in the office. They said that online. And what was really funny is when they said this, which we could pull this up right here. Dave went ahead and saved that. Super Metal Dave. When they said that, they said it's a dev kit. We have some in the office. Sony patent shows, PS5, all that stuff. Yeah, so it's pointing out and saying, oh yeah, we have those in the office. We're working on those now. Now, Sony, of course, has PlayStation 5 dev kits out there. The first parties have them. From what I've heard, some third parties have them at this time, and everyone's currently working on PlayStation 5 games, and that's kind of why you don't really see a lot from Sony right now. It's they're working on the next generation. We expect them to take 2020 and use that as the build up into the holiday to then release the PlayStation 5. Nothing surprising there, I would say. But what's interesting about this is that's Matthew Stott at MattStott72. Well, Sony must not have been happy about this because their Twitter is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. The tweet was pulled and then the entire account has been scrubbed. It's gone. And that's just, we talk about the Nintendo ninjas. Well, these are the Sony ninjas, I guess, coming in and doing the exact same thing. But real quick before we start here, I did start a second channel. I'll have it down in the description. Check it out. It's just called Spawn Wave Plus. If you want to go check it out there. I wanted to make a second channel just in case there are days where there is a ton of stuff to talk about. I can just drop some fun things on there. Might not all be video game stuff. It could be things about like how Spider-Man is in and out of the MCU, it seems. It's all over the place there. It could be different things of pop culture. It could also just be video game stuff too, though. But I didn't want to just completely destroy people's sub boxes for people who didn't want anything other than news segments and stuff that's going on. But if you want to check it out, head on over there. It's linked down below. So this is interesting because now we have actual renderings seemingly of it. Here is the dev kit. This was shared on Twitter by Andrew Marmo. These are from the actual patents that were filed, and the patents have Sony officials on them. We have, Sony's executive names on them, signed off and everything. So it's pretty clear it was something that is legitimate, something that is actually being used. And originally, if you remember, people were looking at this and saying, that's the PlayStation 5. I questioned that heavily. The reason I questioned it is because this does not look like something that Sony would develop and put under a TV. If you look at their devices, especially like the PS4, and then of course their different HD TVs and everything they're doing now, they look very sleek. They look like something that you would put into your entertainment center and it would kind of melt into your entertainment center and become part of it, basically, right? It's supposed to be lower profile because these are all-in-one media boxes. They do everything. They play Blu-rays, they do Netflix, Hulu, MLB.TV, basically everything outside of gaming, they also try to do. Sony's even trying to act like a cable box now with View, I think, and they're doing a lot of stuff. So I don't know why they would release something that looks like a spaceship, and that's why I believe it's the dev kit, and at this point, it seems to be the case. Now, if you look around this dev kit, it's interesting. Now, remember how I talked about on the front? It looked like there were 6 USB ports. I think there's only 5. You can kind of count them here, right? Where you see them on the right of the schematic. Below what could be a power button, maybe. But let me go over to some of the renderings. These are from Let's Go Digital. They did a very good job with them. And you could see how they have what appear to be 5 of them here, and then something else. That could be all kinds of stuff. I'm not 100% sure what that could be. It could have even been like an infrared port for whatever reason. I don't know, like a receiver. But the power button, that makes sense there. And then on the left here, SSD drive, they just kind of threw that on there. They threw the symbol on there, PS5. Most of the stuff probably isn't on the dev kit. I'm just going to say that now. They don't really dress up dev kits like that. I will show you a few development kits that were pointed out by a website that got them together and everything, but generally the dev kits don't look like their final build system. Okay, that's why I was a little surprised to see Sony even put this much work into it. But you can see the artist rendering put like the pause, the fast forward, play, eject. It is good to see that it has a disk drive, it's good to see. But this is interesting, right? I mean, I you see it lit up and you go, man, this thing looks pretty fancy, actually. Now, the one thing I will say, these are probably fins, and this is probably a massive heatsink here. Something that caught my eye, and they didn't really render it out because I don't even think they're not sure there. When I was looking through the schematics here, what's interesting about this is something on the back here would be the power plug. It could be like one of these, maybe one of these, like this square here, for example. But there's also one that I saw when you look at it from the side here. It almost looks like the barrel plug from like a laptop. Like, you know what I'm talking about, like from like the Dells or something. I almost wonder if they are dealing with like just like a mobile chip in there or something. Usually it's overpowered for dev kits, but this is a fairly small dev kit. I also wonder if it's stackable. It might be, but it has like these little feet on the bottom, and I don't know if it has any spot for them on the top. Although, look, they do have little spots here where it almost looks like it would stack correctly, and maybe that's why they went with that design. If you remember the Xbox One X dev kit, they were stackable. That was a big deal. Remember, if you go back, you can actually look at a video that they had that really went in depth with their dev kits for us to see for whatever reason. I don't know. We don't really ever need to know about the development kits, us, people who are getting the games to playing them, because we're not developing. But I guess they wanted to give us some peace of mind that developers have an easier time with the Xbox One X. Sony obviously did not want us to know about this development kit. That's why that person's Twitter is gone. Probably because they broke NDA. And I can't imagine that is a good thing for them to be going through right now. They're probably in a lot of trouble. In fact, when I talked to someone about that, there were a couple people I messaged, and I was like, is this actually the development kit? And a couple people were like, maybe, because they probably didn't want to say anything. And one of them was just like, yeah, they're in trouble. I don't know why. They're just in trouble. Okay. And then their Twitter's gone. So it's very possible that could be like a brick that's outside of it, like a power supply. So I am curious what's in there. The interesting rumors are around AMD's Navi chipset at 2 gigahertz. That would produce quite a bit of heat, more so than you expect to be going through a port like that. That could also be a couple other things, but it was something that caught my eye because it is detailed in these schematics. So interesting stuff there. Now, if you're curious about what the dev kits generally look like, we can jump over here to Tweaktown that went ahead and put together a nice little list of dev kits, and you can see a couple of them here. We have the PlayStation 4 one at the top here. It looks nothing like its counterpart, its final production. A lot of times these things just look like boxes and desktops. Like it's serious. It just looks like a desktop that gets shipped out. Like they just take a computer. We're going to build this to spec to what we think it's going to be like, and then we'll send it out. That's why like the Nintendo Switch's dev kit was such a big deal. If you remember, it was cheap. I think it was like $800 or something for the entire dev kit. It's super cheap. Whereas like the Wii U's was thousands of dollars. The PlayStation 4, thousands of dollars for a dev kit. The Xbox One, $1,000. You get the idea. It's not cheap. The PS4 Pro, which was of course codenamed Neo, it was also it reminds me of a compact Presario, old school computer, doesn't it? Yeah, but another PC. Look at the Xbox One codenamed Durango. Again, it's just a PC. That's all it is. I mean, at this point, they're running x86 architecture and everything. So yeah, you could pretty much build a PC to spec, send it out to developers super early and say, look, this is what we think it's going to be. Go ahead and start developing on this, and we'll update you as we go along and try to get your game to fit into this. A lot of times it has way more RAM and all this stuff. And then here we are with the Xbox One X Project Scorpio, of course. If you got one of the originals, it actually says that right on the front like mine does. That one was interesting because remember that has an LCD on the front. And we talked about this. I said, that'd be kind of cool if it shipped with an LCD. It didn't, of course. And that even is like a small thing that could have been neat. But they didn't ship with that. It actually looked kind of neat. Like I said, they removed some of the stuff off the front, like the buttons and everything. But they actually had an Xbox logo that lit up on their dev kit, which is interesting. Now, I don't think it's going to be the same for this PS5. I think the PS5 is going to come out and it's going to look kind of similar, to be honest, to the PS4. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. It'll probably look slightly different, but it won't be like that kind of that slanted shaped look, sort of. I think it'll be a little different. It won't look like an ice cream sandwich, right? Like the PS4 Pro does. I think it'll look a little more similar to like the Xbox One X in the sense that it's not going to be very tall and it'll be pretty dense, I think. And it's going to use the vapor chamber and everything to cool it fairly well. But interesting stuff here with the PS5. I think we have had our first real look at what Sony is planning. And I am very interested going in. 2020 is going to be, I think, a fascinating year. I think we're going to have some really cool games shown off on this newer hardware. I think it's going to be this really interesting arms race between Microsoft and Sony in who gets their system out first and what they have for launch. I don't think Microsoft's playing around this generation coming up. They get a nice little redo, I guess. The Xbox One's launch was so bad, but they get a little bit of a redo here for that. And I am looking forward to what they can do. Halo Infinite's going to launch on Scarlet, and I'm not really sure what's launching on the PS5. It could be Ghost of Tsushima. That could be moved to its launch date, but if the PS5 is backwards compatible with more than just the PS4, if they get backwards compatibility out of the PS3 somehow, they get it out of the PS2 and the PS1 to the point where you take your disc and you pop it in, I think they have something there. There is a long lineage of PlayStation games that you can pull from. I mean, the PS2 library is vast. Consider this. You put your PS2 game in, it upscales it to 8K. Right? 8K TVs are coming. They're kind of already out there. You can get them for a couple $1,000s now. You put that in and it upscales it even to 4K. Now we're talking. Now things are getting interesting. But let me know what you guys think about this whole PlayStation 5 dev kit situation down below. It seems to be it. People are getting in trouble. People are getting shut down for this. So thanks, guys, for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. I have some fun stuff going on. We're going to take a look at a couple controllers that I have that came in from Sega on the Switch. So we'll use the Sega controller on Nintendo. And then on Sunday, I'm trying to get the GameCube situated there, where we're going to unbox and take a look at some of the rare GameCube games. It's another collection video, so I'll see you guys starting tomorrow.